Aunt B's big old butthole got bass. Alright, I think I got it. Oh! Saddle up the wagons and pull in all of the horses. Make sure to keep everybody safe. Out in this dusty old trail, you never know when you're going to come across some evil. Hello everybody, this is your lovely horror nerds, Nathan.
And this is Daniel.
Welcome to the bottom.
You found the ball rock.
Tonight's movie is an old movie that I actually rather enjoy.
2004.
Delightfully called
Dead Birds.
Roll that poster. Our movie starts out in old Civil War-y day, back when big hats were a thing. So we find a bunch of rebels, a couple of rebels going ahead and dropping off a bunch of gold to a local bank. There is some trivial back and forth between the bank manager and the Civil War guy, to where we are introduced to our lead protagonist, played by
Henry Thomas.
Oh, I think I know that guy with all those buttons on his shirt.
who you might know from the movie E.T. Not okay with the soldiers blocking off the door, so him and his posse just decide to murder all of them. They also rob the bank on top of that and steal all the gold. Yeah. So our bank robbers are on the lam and run to a harbinger. A harbinger is a guy who wags his finger and says, "Don't go out there, don't go down that road.
Don't go down that road.
It's awful. Terrible things happen down that road, but it's right down there."
If you've seen Cabin in the Woods, there's a harbinger in there. There's a harbinger in this movie.
Even in that movie, they literally describe what a harbinger is.
Yeah.
Which is the guy that tells you fuck off, and if you don't, well, that's your own damn fault.
You get killed, you're on your own.
So, and I mean, this guy's literally like lugging bodies into the back of a wagon. And he's like, "Don't go there." They don't bother questioning why he's loading bodies, where he got the bodies from. They're just soldiers, and they figure, fuck it, it's the Civil War. Everything's awful here.
Sure.
So we're looking for this specific house. Where's this house? Harbinger says,
Don't go down that road.
"Don't do it."
No.
So they go anyway. They find this old rural house. Everything seems cool. They're just gonna hang out there until daylight, and they're gonna mosey on down Mexico way to go ahead and spend their ill-gotten gain. Unfortunately, there's a giant storm heading their way that they are unaware of, and the house, it might be full of terrible things. The special effects department was lovely run by all of these people. And we were lucky to have them, actually.
Sure.
Except for the VFX department, which felt like they were using cheap and easy to get a hold of Instagram filters for Halloween.
Looked like something you could see on the Sci-Fi Channel.
A lot of the VFX artists decided to use the quick swap filter or whatever, and it didn't look great. There is a lot of practical effects that weren't thrown in your face for being terrible that were actually rather well done.
Yeah. Props to that.
There's a specific part in this movie that's a rather uncomfortable subject, but I'll just go ahead and say it. A guy crawls out of a lady. And I mean right out of her middle in this movie. This movie has actually got Michael Shannon in it.
Kneel before Sod!
It's got the dude from Spun. It's also got Isaiah Washington in it.
Uh-huh.
We lived in Hollywood Homicide.
Mark Boone Jr. You've probably seen him in a couple of things.
He was in the movie Vampires.
Mhm.
It's also got
Nikki Acox.
who you might actually recognize from Jeepers Creepers 2.
Little Miss I'm Psychic all of a sudden.
That movie series kind of ran off the rails there for a while.
I don't know what happened either.
Anyways, this has got a pretty good cast to it, and it's kind of one of those old dark house movies where you don't really get the scares right away. It starts out with a couple of bandits robbing a bank, and then it turns into a haunted house movie, and then it turns into like a super gory movie.
A little bit of a monster movie with a dash of mystery, maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so the house that the bunch find themselves in happens to have been previously owned by a necromancer. This guy lost his wife, his children, and most of his sanity. He decided to turn to black magic, for which he decided to murder all of his slaves in very horrific ways.
Yeah.
And then eventually end up having the darkness trick him, and he killed himself.
Of course.
How many times do I have to tell people?
Don't make deals, people.
We've already talked about the devil deal, I think last week.
Yeah.
But it has a shelf life of 20 years at most, and it's a genie thing where you're never going to get what you want. I'm sorry. In horror movies, if you make a deal with the devil, it's going to come out fucked up, it's going to mess with your head, and it's going to inevitably end up either having you die from some stupid fucking way, namely some accident or your own hand, and then it's going to end awful.
It's just going to end up biting you on the ass. That's all it is.
This movie decided to have it bite other people in the ass as well. As this movie progresses, we are dealt a big old bevy of hallucinations from everybody in the house, and to the point of where the energy and life force in everyone in it are drained and gone. Except for Henry Thomas decides to run at the very end out of the cornfield and then is quickly blacked up on. Now, at the beginning of this, whenever this movie starts out, it starts out whenever they go to the bank. Elliot, I'm just going to call him Elliot. Everybody knows him as Elliot. I'm just going to call him Elliot. Elliot's character shoots a kid in the face.
Oof.
And
Terrible.
There's so many times when he's trying to bring it up to other people. Like after he bangs the chick from Jeepers Creepers 2, he leans over and goes, "Hey, I murdered a kid." And she's asleep. It's like he just wanted to get it out, but he didn't want anybody to judge him.
He wants his therapy session, but nobody's going to listen to him.
It doesn't set up any characters that you're going to give a shit about surviving throughout this entire movie. Everybody's a bad guy, they're going to die. End of movie. I actually like that. The short, succinct plot that all of these people are terrible and they're all going to get their comeuppance, it just doesn't get done enough nowadays. The villain typically tends to win in a lot of things, and you don't always realize that sometimes the people who were the actual good guys weren't good guys at all.
Yeah.
They're just fodder. Fodder for gore effects, which I love and I salivate at. So give me more.
If you've seen Saw 2, you know what we're talking about.
It's brutal. It's covered up in a lot of horror. So, it's an easy pill for me to swallow even though it's covered in razor blades.
I give it a 6 out of 10 personally.
I give it about a 6 out of 10. That's about a fair rating.
I'd say it's fair.
Go check it out. It's not going to waste any more than this much time.
About an hour 31
of your life.
Yeah.
So go seek it out because it's, again, not that hard to get a hold of.
Watch it once, judge it yourself. You tell us what you think about it if you want.
Hit us up in the comments below. So until next time, this is Nathan.
This is Daniel.
Signing off.